Sleep aids have become a $30 billion industry in the United States. Every year, uh, we consume $30 billion worth of Ambien and NyQuil and various other forms of sleep aids because people say they have trouble falling asleep. And this is a really big problem because the quality of sleep that we receive while your brain is under the influence of sleep aids has detrimental effects. And we are essentially depriving critical parts of our brain from the natural sleep patterns that they need to survive. And uh, people who have heard of sleep before have probably heard of something called REM sleep, random eye movement sleep. And the purpose of REM sleep is to put is a to essentially help your prefrontal cortex, which is this region of the brain that's highlighted red, help that region um, function and prepare for the next day. So if we think back to our ancestors many generations ago with normal sleep patterns, the prefrontal cortex is essentially uh, being preparing itself for the next day's events during REM sleep patterns. And REM sleep is something that occurs in the later half of a typical 8 hour sleeping period. And the PFC, the prefrontal cortex, is essentially the executive decision making part of your brain. And the PFC is what uh, tells you to not say stupid things at events or say the wrong thing to a really hot girl at a bar. It is it is our judgment to many extents, and people who are interested in why alcohol does what it does and makes us stupid is because what the alcohol does is it is digested by your liver and it forms aldehydes, and these aldehydes will go are a class of molecules referred to as sedatives, and sedatives interact with the prefrontal cortex to essentially lower its activity. And sleep aids and alcohol will target this part of the brain, and when they do that, your judgment is impaired. And that's another reason why we shouldn't drink and drive, because you cannot rationalize many of the events that we can with a fully functioning prefrontal cortex. Sleep deprivation and alcohol, as well as sleep aids, will all target your prefrontal cortex. And REM sleep is a topic that is discussed in very good detail in a book called Why We Sleep by Matt Walker. I highly recommend it. And something to note that I found interesting was when people take sleep aids, the most common reason is they claim they have trouble falling asleep. And in his book, Matthew Walker says that the in the clinical trial data, when they were trying to get Zolpidem, which is the generic name of a sleep aid, approved, they gave patients placebo. So a doctor handed a patient a pill and said, "This will help you sleep," even though the pill was ineffective, as well as a group of patients who had the actual active ingredient, Zolpidem. And what they found was that there was a very small difference in people actually falling asleep. And that was a very surprising finding for me. And what I think the main takeaway is that it's the mindset that we have that helps us fall asleep. And if we believe we just took a sleep aid, even if it isn't actually a sleep aid, we fall asleep faster. And natural sleep has been shown clinically and has also been observed throughout the history of evolution to provide critical benefits, especially to our brain, that help us function every day. And so I really hope that people take away that natural sleep for 8 hours is important. The other thing that I would like to say is people who will assume that alcohol helps them fall asleep, uh, while it does help them fall asleep because it is another sedative, the problem with alcohol is, like all the other sedatives, it is destroying the natural sleep patterns, the brain waves that occur during REM sleep. And so they've done studies where alcoholics, where they examine their brain activity while they are sleeping, have been deprived of REM sleep. And this helps us understand a bit more about the character of an alcoholic and why so many alcoholics seem to be very irrational people even while they're awake. It's because their prefrontal cortex has been sleep deprived. So I hope you guys find this useful. Let me know if you have any questions, and thank you for watching.